So in the yesterday's session, we discussed about functions concept and modules concept also, how to import one Python file content into another Python file using modules approach by using imports and all. So today we are having a small concept which is there in the same functions and modules. So after that we can start OOPS concepts. Okay. So finding the members and modules by using dir function. Actually, this is a test Python file, test math Python file. Each and every Python file act as a modules. Okay. So here we are having a one variable and two functions. One variable and two functions in this program. So I want to know what are all the predefined members available in this function. Okay, by using dir function. Dir function will return the list of members which are available in this Python file, I mean a module, and along with that some internal members automatically. What are the internal members will load whenever we are executing the Python module. It will print. See here. There, when I call this dir function, annotations, built-ins, cache, doc, file, loader, name, and package, spec, add is nothing but one of the function that we are using in this math.testmath.py module, and product is another function, and x is a variable. So these are all the three variables and functions that we have created in this Python file. Along with that, there are internally so many members are executing while executing this program. Okay, so this is nothing but built-in modules. Okay, these built-in modules are helpful to run your module into. I mean, you can call this module in another Python file. See, previously we used to call from this. See, again, if I execute this Python file, this is going to be print what you can see. 111 is nothing but m.x is means m is I imported import test math as m. It's a alias name. Okay, alias name. So print m.x. So then test math, where what is the x in the test math? This is the value. So and m is alias name for test math module. M dot, there is a, what is the function here? Add function. Okay. Again m dot product. The function is also available right in the math module. So here I am calling these three functions, two functions, one variable. Along with that, it is printing what? It is printing dir also, because we are not call this dir directly, but it is printing here. This dir is using internally executing all these members while executing this Python .testmath.py file as a module. See here we are executing this testmath.py into another Python file by importing this as a module, and internally these are all the inbuilt modules are helpful to call this particular test math into this test math example .py file. See, each and every Python file considered as a module here. Okay, this is called a module based programming. So there is a special variable is there. There is a special variable. So for every Python program, a special variable underscore underscore, I will tell you, underscore underscore name, underscore underscore name will be added internally. We can call it as a special variable. So what is the use of this special variable? Means, so whenever you are using this module based programming, like you can import one Python file into another Python file for reusability of the existing Python file content into new Python file. we can use this special function to get the information about the if you are executing a Python file like this test math examples.python file, it is executing as a independent file or it is executing the existing, I mean, another Python file means another module content into this file. Thus, that difference will be provided by this name variable. So, this name variable stores information regarding whether the program is executed as an individual program or as a module. The intention of this name is underscore underscore name is it will give you the information whether you are executing your program as a individual program, individual in the sense you can call this program from here also, from here, or you are calling from this particular program. So it is importing the testmath.py content into testmathexamples.py. If you are using a module approach or non-module approach, that information will be provided by this name function. Okay, so if the program is executed as an individual program, then the value of the variable is underscore underscore main. Underscore underscore main. So the this is not a main method like in Java. Okay, this will tell you if you are executing the same program. If you are right, so for example, here I have written one logic, okay, two functions and one variable. If you are executing this particular function test math.py here only by passing the values a and b values, simply you can see add of 10 comma 20, product of triple one comma triple two. So you can observe here. See, multiplication. Yeah, why it is. Oh, I have used print. Okay, product. Okay. Product. Now you can observe here. See, someone product. See, this is nothing but a individual program, right? We are not using other program functions or variables into this program. But coming to here, if you are trying to execute this program, okay, to while and import the existing program content here, and if you are running this, what will happen? See, it is showing this here we called add and product function, and again we are calling here. So two times we are calling here. So this is nothing but module based approach. If you are running the program independently here, then the main will be printed. If you are running dependent on, I mean, if you imported the other program content here and if you are running this program, then it is showing as a non-main program. So the intention of this is if the program executed at an individual program, then the value of the variable is underscore underscore main. If the program executed as a module from other program, then the value of the variable name as a module where it is defined. So here I'm going to show one example for that. The same program test f1 f1 is a function. Okay, here I'm writing some print. I'm using if underscore underscore name equal to double equal to underscore underscore main. Underscore underscore main. Print of the code executed as a program. Else print of the code executed as a module from some other program. Okay, this is the condition I have kept here to, so to know whether this program is executed independently or dependent from other program. So now I am calling one function. Okay, so and this, okay, here I am trying to use m.1. Now you can observe, if I am running this program, the output will be vary. The code executed as a module from some other program. The code executed as a module from some other program. Okay, if I am executing here, the code executed as a program. So see what is the difference here. So else block got executed in this program, but it is showing two times. Why it is showing two times? Here the same function we are calling in this program and in this program also. That's the reason it said two times. So and coming to here in the same program, you can observe here the code executed as a program. So this main function got executed. So that is the difference between the special variable called underscore underscore name. You can observe some of the Python programs. If you are opened any online compiler, they will provide underscore underscore name equal to underscore underscore main. Why they are putting it, say, this particular condition at the end of the program? Say the intention of this program is I am executing this program as a current module. I am not depending. I am not importing from the other module. The intention, the difference, the Python, we are giving a Python executor. So instruction to the Python executor. So I am executing this program independently. So for that purpose, it's not like a main method in Java. Okay. So if it's not mandatory, but internally it will use all these predefined functions to while executing the individual programs. Okay. So this is all about underscore underscore name underscore underscore variable. Okay. Main. Okay. So now we are going to shift to, we're going to start the object oriented programming. Okay, as of now we covered scripting oriented programming approach, procedure oriented programming approach. Procedure oriented means if else for loops that are coming as a procedure oriented, and function oriented programming approach, module oriented programming approach. Okay, these are all the four programming methodologies Python is supporting as of now in a core Python programming. And now we are going to shift to advanced programming concepts. Here, what is the programming methodology that we are going to follow? OOPS, object oriented programming. Okay. So before going to OOPS, there are some key points in the OOPS. Okay. What are those? Class. Second. Python. Okay. So, what are the key points in the object-oriented programming? Oops, concept, class, okay, object, next, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, okay, in interfaces. Okay, these are the key points. So there are some sub-components are also available. This is related to types of methods and types of variables in a object oriented programming while declaring a class. Okay, so that we will discuss at this point. Okay, types of methods. See, the same function. Just now we called this is a function. Where is this another example? Delete. Yeah, you can see this what we call this. This is a function. Here we call it as a function, but the same function in OOPS concepts we can call it as a methods. Okay, so in the OOPS concepts too, if you are writing any program that is following these three methods mandatory, any one of the method based on the requirement. So having three types of methods: instance, static, class level methods. Types of variables. Here we are having instance, local, and class level. See, but the same variable we discussed yesterday's class, global variable and local variable in functions, because that is at functional programming. It's related to core programming, core Python programming. We have two types of variables available. One is global variable and is local. Another one is local variable. So these we can use in the functions. But coming to OOPS concepts, the variables naming and the declarations are different. So there they can call it as an instance variable, local variables, and class variables. So these are the major concepts which is available in the OOPS. After that, we will move to exception handling concept, files concepts, loggers, and loggers concept. Okay, and these are the concepts for automation testing purpose that we are going to cover in our classes. Other than this, there are few more concepts: regular expressions, okay, regular expressions, and uh, decorators, generators, and sets, and database connectivity, and web scraping. Okay, few more small concepts are there. Those are categorized under this. These are all related to development. It will helpful for the development. Even decorators also we are going to use. I will explain the decorators concept also, but these concepts more we are going to, I mean, it will be useful in the development. But coming to our automation perspective, OOPS concepts, exception handling, file handling, loggers, okay, these are all the mandatory things. So we are going to cover all these concepts. Okay, these are all related to development activities. If anyone required all these, anyway, I will cover the decorators also in this OOPS concepts. So if anyone required remaining concepts, they want to learn, okay, just inform to me in the group. So most based on the priority, I can include these sessions also. Okay, so see, now we'll start with the class. What is class? OOPS concepts. We already know, most of the people aware of OOPS concepts in Java, class, object, and everything. Okay, so coming to Python, what is class? In Python, everything is an object. Okay, in Java also people can say everything is an object. It's an object-oriented, purely object-oriented programming. It's not, because internally, if you declare a Java, if you create a Java program using by declaring a public class name, then only the Java can consider that is a object-oriented class. But in Python, you can observe here in this example also, this is not an object-oriented approach. A equal to simple print of type of a. I am not declared any class here, but simply I have declared a variable. It is showing what? Int class. Int class means integer class. Why it is showing int class? Why it's not showing int data type? Even data types also considered as a class in Python. That is the intention here. So everything will be a class in Python. Okay, everything will be an object in Python. So that's it. This reason Python is a purely object-oriented programming language when compared with other programming languages. So then why we are not creating a class and why we are not declaring a object? So how can we run the Python program other than this? As of now, when we discussed. Even here also you can observe, yes, everything Python is considering as a programming, I mean as a object oriented concepts, and it helps while writing a Python program. Automatically it can be considered this object is created. See, s is equal to input enter a main string. This is a object. How it should be an object? If you are trying to print that s, okay, type by using type method, by using type function, automatically s should be a string class. So then immediately whatever the programming methodology you have entered, s is equal to input of enter main string, immediately Python can consider these people are following other than whoops methodology, other than whoops programming methodology. This particular person is trying to enter the string value from the keyboard. It's a kind of scripting oriented programming approach. Immediately it can be considered as a scripting oriented programming approach, and the program will be executed as a scripting oriented approach. By entering your value, automatically Python is going to be considered based on the input. It is a scripting oriented, or if you entered something like this, see in the line number 6, immediately it can consider, okay, these people are following procedure oriented programming approach. They are using procedures called if, else, and for loop, while loop, all those things. Then the program can be executed as a procedure oriented. Python is a dynamically typed programming language. In the first day theory I explained the same thing. Dynamically Python typed programming means you don't need to type it explicitly. You don't need to declare the type of the integer value int a equal to 10. It's not required. Automatically Python executor internally, it will consider this is a integer class. Okay, that is the reason of Python is a multi-purpose programming language. Here you can observe here, this is the object oriented class example. Okay, all this structure I will explain you, don't worry. So here you can observe class person. When you declare the class, automatically Python executor internally, it will consider this is a object oriented program. Okay, so now everything, what is class again? In Python everything is an object. To create objects we require some model or plan or blueprint, which is nothing but a class. Not only the Python, even Java, any programming, .NET, any programming languages, what is a class? Class is not a physically exist. Class is a blueprint or model or a plan. See, simple and a generic example, if a civil engineer is going to construct a house. So house is an object. Okay, house is an object, but uh, while constructing a house, they need a design, right? We are going to construct our houses by based on the civil engineer design, and they will give a very good designs based on our requirement. They will give the model and design plan of our house. You want a duplex house, you want apartment, based on your requirement, they can write a plan, they can design a plan and give it to you. See, this is the bathroom place and this is the bedroom. I mean, puja room or whatever it is, the rooms that we need in our house, all are neatly aligned, and the designed by him, and the parking space for our vehicles, and he will give it to a blueprint. Okay, based on that blueprint, that the builders, I mean, the people, they can construct the house, and they will take the measurements of our place, and they can construct the house by using that particular blueprint. Same thing here, class is a blueprint. Okay, so it contains objects. Class contains what? Objects. What is the object here? House. Okay. What are there in the house? Properties and behave actions. What we can do in the house? We can fit the electricity, and we can do our actions like something called electricity and utilities setup. We can do it, and we can. The class contains properties in the sense. What are the properties here for class for house? Simply walls, windows, doors. All are coming to properties. Okay. And actions, what we can do in the actions, what we will do in the house. So we can sleep and we can eat. Okay, so we will see the movies and everything. These are the kind of actions by using house we are doing, right? We can do all these things. So this is nothing but a generic example. But coming to programming point of view, in a Python, everything is an object, and to create objects, we required some model or plan or blueprint. That model is nothing but a class here. Okay, here we can observe he is a student. This is a person class. Okay, this person contains some variables, some properties or something. Okay, name, age is name, age are the person properties. Okay, name, age are the person properties. Right. What actions the person can do? The person can walk, eat, run, all those things. So those are all related to methods. Okay, I will tell you slowly. So, but here the person is a class. Within the person class, we are creating an object and we are doing our things. So we can write a class to represent properties and actions of a object. Okay. So I will show you another class. Okay, leave this and I will write separately. So we can write a class to represent properties and actions of an object. Okay, what is the class? Class is a blueprint and model. We can write a class to represent objects of a properties and actions. Here, what are the properties for a object? Variables are the properties. And what are the actions for a object? Methods are the actions. Properties is nothing but variables. So we can declare a variable of a object, right? For example, a person is a object. That person contains what? Some state and behavior. See, for example, just take an example of you. So you are having some characteristics, right? So you can walk, run, eat, all those things. That is nothing but your action. You can do all these actions. And properties, your height, weight, okay, color, these are all comes under properties. How can the people can identify you? By using your height, weight, and name, right? These are all your properties. This is nothing but your variables that represent you. Okay, because you are an object, you are a physically existing object. So these properties can represent your information, something called uniqueness of about yourself, something called your name, height, weight, your surname, your belongs to which region. These are all comes under variables. By using these variables, people can identify you. Okay, and coming to actions, what actions you can do? You can eat, walk, run, cook, everything, right? So based on your knowledge. So these are the actions that uh, done by you. So for example, if you are an object, how can um, how can we describe all these things related to you while calling your information? By using your actions method. Something called actions are here in methods. So I am going to call your action method, something called run. So then that method will execute this object internally to run. I mean, by whatever the content in the run method, something called. Okay, this is nothing but methods and variables. We can call it as a properties for a variables and we can call it as actions for methods of a object. Now I'm going to create one simple class. Okay, that class contains some object information. I will show you how to create it. See, in Python, class can be created like this. Class space student is my class name. You don't need to put open, close braces, all those things. Simply like class student. Once you put enter, automatically cursor will come here, same like as if else conditions, because we are following indentation in Python. Okay. See, if it is blinking after one tab space, you have to continue your logic related to class from this particular line of code. You have to start. So here I'm going to write one comment. What is the comment here? I'm going to write multilateral comments. Okay, string multilateral comments. Okay, this is the demo of object oriented program. Okay, my comment is done. Now I'm going to write def. I will tell you, don't worry, what is this? As of now, just listen it. Self dot name equal to self dot age equal to some student information. Self dot marks. As of now, we haven't listened about the self keyword in the previous programming, but object oriented programming onwards, self is mandatory. What is self? I will tell you separately. Okay, first we have to construct the program. Marks equal to 60 something. Okay, again, I'm going to write def display student info self print of hello, I am self dot name print of self dot age print of marks. So this is nothing but a student class. So what is the class here? Class is a blueprint or model. Okay. But where is the student here? Student is a object, right? So this is the student information. Okay. Student name and marks and age. Okay. These are all the properties. Properties are nothing but what? Variables. Okay. And what is the action that student is going to perform here? So we are going to retrieve some information from the student. So this is the method. Okay. This method contains student information. We are calling the student information here. Okay. This is simple class. What is init? What is self? Why we declare a variable here like this? Why we are calling the printing this content in this method? What kind of method it is? I will tell you. Okay. So this is a simple student class with some information about the student. Okay. Variables and method we declared. Now, how to create an object in Python? Okay. As of now, class is created. I want to create a object for the student. Okay. How to create the object? See, there is a syntax for that to create an object. So now what is the object here? Object is nothing but physically existing of a class is nothing but a object. Okay. We can create any number of objects for a class. See, physically existing of a class is nothing but object. Means the class here we declared as a student class. The student class contains what? Student information. So what is there in the student information? So name, age, all those things, and we are having some method also there. We are calling that method. So that is nothing but physically existing the student information, right? Student name is there in the class. So and we can create any number of objects for a class based on the requirement. Okay. So how to create an object in, if it is a Java, just remember it, class name, something called student, okay, and variable equal to new student, something like this you have to create, right? So here in Python, very simple, object reference equal to class name. That's it. Object reference equal to class name. There is no closing braces, nothing. But you can observe the indentation. It comes from here because I have created an object outside of a class. Because the line of code, whatever it is blinking here, def underscore defs, that is comes to related to this class code. But I have created an object outside of a class. How you can know this outside of a class? So the indentation you can observe here. We came out from the class and created a variable called yes, object reference variable. This is called object. You can give any number of any name of your variable, student data. So I mean the new the variable is be different, your own, right? You can create any name. Okay. So in Java, you can create an object by using new keyword. Just remember it. But in Python, there is no new keyword. Directly you can create like this. S is equal to class name. What is the reference variable here? The variable which can be used to refer object is called a reference variable. See, this is called a S is equal to a student. S is a reference variable. By using reference variable, we can access properties and methods of a class. We already discussed what are the properties and what are the methods, right? Properties are nothing but variables. Methods are nothing but, I mean, actions are nothing but methods. We can access the variables and methods of a class from outside of anywhere of the class by using object reference call. So you can observe now. I mean, I'm executing this. It is not printing. So we talk method s equal to student. Okay, print of something. It's not required, I think. S dot, I'm not calling this method. Okay. S dot display student information. Just now I explained, by using a reference variable, we can access the properties and methods of a object. See, this is a student object, right? This S equal to student. This is a student object. So I am going to call the these variables and methods from the student object. Now we can observe here. This is the a simple object oriented program in Python. Okay. So now what is self variable? Why people are using self variable here in object oriented programming in Python? See, self is the default variable which is always pointing to the current object. Okay, self is the default variable which is always pointing to the current object. What is the current object here? Student, right? What is the current object here? Student object. So this student is, see here, student name, we declared class name as a student, but the student information we are using by using this functions, I mean by using this method and the constructor, and we declared a variables and we are declared a function, I mean method also, we are calling the student object here. It always the pointing to the current object. So what is the current object here? Student. Okay. Like this keyword in Java. Just remembering this dot value, this dot something. So in Java. So Python, we can call that this keyword is self. Okay. By using self, we can access instance variables and instance methods of a object. Okay, by using self, we can access instance variables and instance methods. Okay, as of now, we don't know what is instance variables and instance methods. I will tell you. So, how many here I explained you. See, three types of after objects. I explained what three types of methods and three types of variables. So, first variable is called instance. Instance variable. We can call it as object level variable. Next one is what? Static variable. Same like as in Java. Here also same. Class level variable and local variable. Local variable method level. Okay. And methods. How many types of methods are there? So three types of methods that we will discuss slowly as of now. So instance method and static method, class method. Okay. So these are all the three types of methods in Python. So as of now, we are going to discuss about instance variables and instance methods. Okay. So here, this is the instance variable. Okay. What is the instance variable here? The variable, I will tell you what is the instance variable slowly, but here you can, we are going to discuss about self. Okay. By using self, we can access instance variables and instance methods. Okay. So by using self, this is the instance variable here. You can observe. This is the instance variable. Okay. Self is a default variable which always pointing to the current object. See, what is the current object here? Student. So this self is mapped to the student object. That's the reason self is a default variable. Even though if you are writing any method, see, here I have created a method called student info method. Here self I declared. So this self indicates it's a default variable. It is always pointing to the display student info method. Okay. So self should be first parameter inside a constructor. Now, what is constructor here? I will tell you. Okay. Self should be first parameter inside a constructor. This is the constructor in Python. Okay. In Java, we can call it as a default constructor, parameter constructors in the OOPS concept. Same like as in Python, there is a constructor concept is there. The constructor can be like this underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. What is the meaning of underscore underscore init and underscore underscore? Just now we discussed about modules. Internally, there is a underscore underscore name variable. It will execute multiple packages which are internally executing in Python. Same like as underscore underscore. If starts with the underscore underscore, the Python can consider it's a implemented inbuilt function. Initially, Python will execute first. See, this entire program I am executing, initially, the Python executor will go this constructor first and it will execute it. So that's the reason they named, they created a constructor and they named it like this underscore underscore init. Init means initialization. Initialization. Okay. So self should be the first parameter inside a instance method. See, this is the first parameter here. After that, you can pass parameters whatever you want based on our requirement. But self should be the first parameter in the instance method. See, this is a instance variable. This is a instance method. Okay. So these two will cover in a simple object-oriented Python program. By default, instance method and instance variables are we are going to declare. So now, what is constructor? Okay. Just now we discussed about underscore underscore init is a constructor. So constructor is a special method in Python. Okay. What is constructor? Constructor is a special method in Python. The name of the constructor should always be underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. This is a constructor. Okay. Constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation. See, here we are calling the object in the line number 16. At the time of this object creation, this portion of code will execute automatically. Because the intention of the constructor is called what? The name of The constructor is a special method in Python. Constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation, and it will allocate the memory for that object, and it will use that object related content, the variables, whatever it is, in our program everywhere. So the main purpose of the constructor is to declare and initialize the instance variable. See, here we declare the instance variable, what name, age, marks. Okay, these three instance variable we hard coded here. It's a simple example, but I will explain slowly with a meaningful variables. So see here, the variables whatever we declared in the constructor will be initialized as an instance variable with the help of self keyword. Automatically these will be executed while calling this object. Per object, constructor will be executed only once. Okay, here s is equal to student. Okay, now I am going to create another object. S1 is equal to student of, okay, and S1 dot display info. Because we have hard coded the variables here. Anyway, we are going to change the data now in the coming program. But the situation is here. See, this is the one object. The constructor will be executed here. This will be printed. Okay, this is another object. Again, the constructor will be executed. The information about the student will be printed here in the console. So that is the intention. Per object, constructor will be executed only once. Constructor take at least one argument called self. See, this is a you just remember the functions concept. Previously, just now we discussed. Function means how we can create a function. Def, right? In object-oriented programming, so okay, we can call those functions as a methods. Okay, okay. This is a constructor, and the parameter. Just we discussed about the parameters, different types of parameters in the functions. Self is the first parameter here. Okay, that's what they're saying. Okay, constructor is an optional, and if you are not providing any constructor, Python will provide a default constructor. If you are not providing any constructor to initialize the instance variables like this, Python program will internally take the help of constructor. You don't need to declare the constructor. Automatically the constructor will be executed for the particular object, but the variables, the instance variables, and all those things we can initialize in the instance method. Okay, this is what about the constructor. So now I'm going to write a exact object oriented Python program. Self comma name comma age comma marks. Okay, I am going to remove these hard coded values. Okay, name equal to name. This dot name equal to name in Java, same like as here. This is going to age equal to age, and we have declared a three instance variables in the constructor. You can observe here. Self is the first parameter in the constructor. Name, age, marks. Three instance variables. These are all called instance variables, where we can declare an instance variable in the constructor for to initialize the object. Okay. Now, and self dot name equal to name, and self dot age equal to age, self dot marks equal to marks. So now display student info is what? It's a instance method. How we can create an instance method? By putting a self as a default variable. Automatically it can be considered as an instance variable. Now in the line number 11, 12 and 13, just observe, I am doing print. The logic, the business logic what I have written here, print statements. So what is there in the print statements? Hello, I am self dot name. Where is this name value coming from? Self dot name. What is the self here? Default variable. Okay, what initialization we did with the self name? Name is a variable we initialized. Self dot name equal to name. So the same thing we are initializing here in the instance method self dot name. Again, my age is self dot age, and my marks are self dot marks. Okay, now you can observe is the class is completed. I'm going to call the constructor. Right? I'm going to create an object. Right? I'm going to create an object. In the constructor, I have used a default variable called self, I have initialized 3 instance variables like this: name, age, and marks. Okay. See, whenever the object is initialized, object creation is done outside of the class. Initially, this constructor will be executed, and these 3 instance variable called initialized ready to utilize. Now you can pass the data from here. This is the exact class. Previously I hard coded just for difference purpose, like example, base example. This is the main object oriented perfect class. So now I'm creating object, right? S1 is equal to student. Okay. Student of what is our name? Student name, something called Hari, okay, comma, age 25, marks 85, something 80. Now I have created an object. How can I how can I get the information about the student? I have created an object with data, object data. What is that? Instance variables. What are the instance variables? On the top we have given in the line number 5 constructor name, age, marks. So we have provided that instance variables at the object level. Okay. So how many times the constructor will be executed? For one object, one time. Okay. Now S1 dot display student marks student info. Then what will happen? S1 dot student principle, major principle. What is the major principle of object oriented? Reusability, code reusability, that we can achieve using inheritance. But by calling this multiple objects for a single class also, it somewhat it is achieve the reusability and of the code. I have created one skeleton, right? So we can create one house generic way, and we can the owner construct a house, the owner given a rent to house, right? Like initially I given one bachelor's, after that some other family, after that some other family, they keep on changing because they're utilizing it, the same class, the house object, they're utilizing it as per their needs. If the person shifted to another village, another town, they can vacate the house and they will go to that place. But new person, new family will come, and they can allocate, I mean, they can utilize that house, right? Because of rent houses especially. So that is nothing but object. They have created a house object, a owner constructed a house object for you, and that house object having some facilities, okay, those electricity, power and all, and as well as some uh, mm, uh, very good features, I mean, all those things, and you can go on stay their home, that house, and you can utilize it, and you are going out. So how many people are utilizing this? Multiple people. So same like as we can call multiple objects here, so for a single class once we constructed. So now you can S2 equal to student, here another student information we are providing. Okay, sorry, another student. So Shiva, marks. Okay. So now student display student info. See how it is working. We are calling the same constructor and same instance method multiple times by using different set of data. See, per object constructor will be executed only once. Per object constructor will be executed only once. See, for this object constructor got executed, and this object values got replaced with this instance variable with an actual values. The method will be this instance method will be printing the information. For this second student object, again constructor got executed and replaced with the actual content instead of this instance variables. And the second time when we are calling second student information is going to be printed with the help of this instance method. What is the instance method here? Separately we will discuss about instance methods, don't worry. So instance method starts with the self, is a by default keyword. So this self dot once we declare like a self like this, wherever the self default variable assigned some variables, that variables we can call here. See, the self already assigned this what? Self dot name equal to name variable they assigned as a self to the self variable, and this age variable we assign to the self, and marks variable we assign to the self. Now the self is a default variable. It contains what? Name, age, marks information. So directly by using the self dot name we can get that information by passing the data to an object creation level. Okay, this is what a object oriented programming in Python. A perfect object oriented class. It object oriented class contains what? One constructor is mandatory. Okay, without having a constructor you cannot execute the objects. The initializations and all done by the constructor only. So we already discussed about the constructor. It is a special method in Python. The name of the constructor should be like this. The constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation. See, here if you don't have a constructor, if you don't have a constructor, how can this program will execute? Just see. Type error, student has no arguments. That's not taking, it's not considering. So because of the constructor is mandatory. So if you are passing the data, okay, this is what all about like object oriented concept. Okay, no need to put square braces, all those things. Just put like colon and up to this class related code, and this is outside of a class. Whenever declaring a object reference using like this starting point of the line, so it's a outside of a class up to this class related code. So this we came out from the class and created an object here. So you can create n number of objects as per the requirement for the same class. Okay, by passing the by changing the student data. Okay, this is all about a simple class, and tomorrow I'm going to start from the differences between the method and constructor in a Python, and variables, types of variables. So just now I discussed, right, the types of variables, three types, something called this, yeah, instance variables, static variables, and local variables, where we can declare instance variables, where we can declare the static and class, and instance method, static method, and class methods. So where we can use the instance methods, class methods, and static methods. This concept I will explain tomorrow. After that, we will move to the inheritance. Okay. So this is the first pillar of object-oriented concepts. If you know all these things up to class methods like this, you know how to create a simple object-oriented Python class. The syntax. So these are the major components. We can combine them. Okay, as per our needs, so we can use instance method and instance variables. We can use static methods and static variables. We can, as per the needs, we can use class methods and class variables also in an object oriented class. When we go for instance methods, when we go for static method, when we go for class methods, I will tell you separately. But as of now, it's a simple instance variable and instance method we covered. Again, tomorrow we are going to demonstrate the same example by explaining the instance variables, how many ways we can create and how many ways we can call the instance variable. Okay, any doubts I can ask.